Hey pedalers, welcome back to your brand new video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the recently filed Shimano patents regarding their potential 12-speed wireless Dura-Ace group set. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. Now, I debunked the fact that there wasn't a 12-speed wireless group set being tested as of right now, which confirms that I was right, because with this patent that was actually filed on November the 5th, 2020 in the United States by Shimano, that just confirms that the 12-speed wireless group set, especially the Dura-Ace one, which is their flagship group set, has not been evenly prototyped yet, because they're just putting out the patents right now. But this is a good indication that Shimano will be releasing in the not so distant future a 12-speed wireless group set of some sort. But the whole point of this video is to look at the patent and give you guys my thoughts and my interpretations. Now, quickly, from the looks of it, from the first page, it seems like they actually filed this back on 2016 or a part of it, and now are adding on to it, because it takes a lot of development and research and development RD to actually figure out these things. So the fact that it's been taking this long is not uncommon. These things do take a long time to develop. Now, this is one figure that they have in the patents, and it basically shows the whole group set on a bike. Now, it's funny, they actually put a rim brake bike in this situation, so that actually confirms. There also is another schematic that shows that this will be available both in disc brake and also in rim brake. So that's good to see that the rim brake lives on, especially with Shimano. 3 Grand Tours this year, guys, was won on a rim brake bike, so never forget, rim brake has its place in cycling. So the first thing I really want to touch up on, and I love making this video because the fact that I rode all summer with an ETAP wireless group set, cyclocross / gravel bike, I've experienced it with a wireless group set. So the fact that the shifters, at least on the Shimano that we're taking a look at right now, you can see it doesn't have a bulkier design. That's one thing with ETAP I'm not too much of a fan of, but looking at the schematics right now, you can see that it seems to have a coin battery that's going to be in the shifters. So basically that's exactly the same, more or less, to the ETAP shifters I have. They usually last a long time. You don't have to replace them. You don't need to charge them. They're not like the front or rear derailleurs where you have a big battery. So the coin battery should last, a very long time. Obviously, you'll have to replace it eventually, but it does last a long time. So that's good that you don't have to worry about charging that. Now, if we take a look at the front and rear mech, right now we're taking a look at the front derailleur, and you can see, it's kind of going to be a challenge, because they have to make sure that the front mech, especially if it has a battery attached to it, is not going to be compromised by wider tires in the future. Because obviously, if they do make a Di2 wireless group set, especially, that will go to Ultegra levels, and that will be potentially used in gravel. So they want to make sure that there's enough tire clearance in the rear for the front derailleur. So that's one thing ETAP did that was really important, that they made sure that it didn't actually compromise and actually touch the rear tire. So that's really important that Shimano does that as well. Now, taking a look at the rear derailleur, also, you can see it seems to have a battery at the back. So this leads me into what most people want, guys. Most people want a wireless group set. They don't want any wires. But in terms of Shimano, that goes completely against their train of thought. Shimano's main focus being that Dura-Ace Di2 is the top tier for racers. They're more focused on the performance in terms of the shifting. So now, in terms of shifting, if you've ridden an ETAP bike versus a Di2 bike, you will find a faster speed shift increase on the Di2 bikes. But that's just because Di2 has less lag than the wireless group set on the ETAPs do. At least that's my opinion and experience. It's very negligible. I don't think it's super significant. But yes, there is a slight delay on the ETAPs when compared to Di2, and that's to be expected, because if ETAP is fully wireless, Di2 has wires, so you would expect the connection in terms of the connection going from the shifters to the actual mechs to be a lot faster on Di2. And because Dura-Ace Di2 is made for the pros, Shimano is really focused on making sure they keep that signature fast acting shifting that Dura-Ace is known for on this wireless group set. So for that reason, there's a potential that there's going to be a semi-wireless possibility, meaning that the front and rear mechs would be connected to a battery, in the seat post potentially, and then signals will be sent wirelessly from the front and rear mech to the shifters and vice versa. But there's going to be a battery that charges those things instead of independent batteries like we see on ETAP. Now, in my opinion, I think the most important thing when it comes to Di2 and also ETAP, now I think ETAP looks very clean, don't get me wrong, but also with Dura-Ace Di2, because you don't have any shifting cables, it looks very clean. Like, yes, there's a slight wire coming out of the frame, usually with Di2, but I think that's pretty insignificant because at least it frees up a lot of the cable management that goes on in the front. So I think Di2 is still fine, but I do understand the niceness in terms and the cleanness and just the look. And, you know, obviously it's a lot easier when you literally can just put a front derailleur, rear derailleur, and shifters on, and you don't have to worry about any junction cables. Like, you know, if for maintenance by yourself, you know, the E-Tab downstairs that I have on my bike is super nice. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the shifting and reliability that you get with Dura-Ace Di2 is just nothing compares to it on the market. That's why the majority of the peloton, other than sponsorship reasons, but like that's why the majority of the peloton rides Shimano, is just because it's so reliable and fast and crisp. So like E-Tab is good, it just doesn't compare to Dura-Ace Di2 as we speak. So it'll be very interesting to see changes they have to do to Dura-Ace to make it wireless and also maintain the signature Dura-Ace crispness and speed shifting. Now, one thing I noticed riding my 12-speed group set is because you have a 10-tooth cog, it allows you to ride smaller chain rings at the front while maintaining your same top speed, which is great because that just promotes better cadence, which I think is really good for a lot of riders, so we're not grinding out there. And when compared to 11-speed group sets, if the biggest cog on the 12-speed group set stays the same, you can actually stay in the big ring longer because then you'll have a wider variety of gears to go through. And that's just the important thing when it comes to adding a gear from, you know, 10 speed to 11 speed to 12 speed. It's just you'll have a better range of gears to choose from rather than big jumps across gears, which I think is always good. And what we've seen for the last 10 years easily is cadence, 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 spin to win. That's how you do it. That's how you don't get fatigued. That's how you ensure that you don't really grind and get all that lactic built up in your muscles. So I think it's just really good that we're seeing more gears and easier gears in terms of efficiency. Now, the fact that we have confirmation that there isn't secretly a prototype Dura-Ace Di2 wireless group set being tested is great. It confirms that the last video when we debunked that is accurate. But now it just leads me to the point that a lot of patents in general, from my knowledge, don't actually see the light of day. They just file a lot of things to at least cover the bases. And the one thing that's really challenging for Shimano is that they have to get around the patents that are laid by SRAM. So it's very interesting to see what tweaks they will make that will be unique to Shimano and obviously promote and, you know, stick to their true Dura-Ace speed and shifting while not overlapping SRAM's E-Tab. So I always find that very interesting. I love research and development. I love technology. So it'll be very interesting to see when this actually comes out, and I'm very excited. So I'm going to end the video on this note. Would you guys rather a full wireless Dura-Ace Di2 group set with no cables whatsoever, independent batteries, and all wireless like SRAM E-Tab, and lose the speed and shifting qualities that Shimano is known for that wireless ability? Or do you guys not care and would rather have maybe a semi, you know, version where the front derailleur and rear derailleur are connected to a battery within the frame, and then those signals are sent wirelessly to the shifters? Which one? And in that situation, you maintain the speed and crispness that Shimano is known for. So which one would you guys like to see? I'm very interested. Please like the video, subscribe if you have not, and until the next one, keep on pedaling.